Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this topic or in this video we will talk about Autoinvoice setup for Oracle Fusion Receivables clouds. After we know the full setup from A to Z, we will take one example as a practice to upload one invoice through the Autoinvoice import template. So let's start. Introduction. The objective of this video is to provide step-by-step instructions on the setup required in Oracle Fusion Receivables in order to create simple transactions via Autoinvoice. If we start by Autoinvoice setup for Oracle Fusion Receivables Cloud, there are a lot of steps. We can take it one by one. First of all, define common account receivables configurations. What does it mean? Common accounts configurations pertains to the Accounting Flexfield setup. This is done in the Oracle Fusion General Ledger application. The assumption of this case study is that you have already defined your account Flexfield segments and can create and complete manual transactions using the Transaction Workbench. This is the common setup for all of the modules to set up your GL segments, Flexfield, values, value set values to enable you to create transactions in AR and AP. And I think this is done because this is the start, or this is the first steps for the implementations, to starting by implement your general ledger, value set, chart of account, value set values, if there are any dependencies, related value sets, budget, period, calendar, blah blah blah. The next step is manage receivable descriptive Flexfield. Oracle Fusion Receivables using the Transaction Flexfield to uniquely identify each transaction line that is imported through Autoinvoice. Autoinvoice is capable of using information from 5 types of Transaction Flexfields: line transactions, link to transactions, invoice lines, reference transactions, and transactions. So you need to set up a line transaction Flexfield in this case study. So let's go into Oracle to show you. I'll just here search by manage receivable descriptive Flexfield. Manage receivable descriptive Flexfields. As I told you that there are 4 types of Transaction Flexfield, I just search by module, or I can search, put it receivables. If you go to down, you will find line transaction Flexfield, link to transaction Flexfield, and you will find another 2 types as a reference and invoice transaction Flexfield. This is the reference transactions and invoice transaction Flexfield. If you are using Autoinvoice, it's mandatory to define line transaction Flexfield as the line level information. Second, invoice transaction Flexfield header level information. If you don't explicitly define link to and reference transaction Flexfield, Autoinvoice will use the Flexfield structure of the line transaction Flexfield to determine link to and reference information. To create a line transaction Flexfield, as we said before, you must define the line transaction Flexfield if you are implementing Autoinvoice. Line transaction Flexfield are unique for each record in the interface table and therefore can be used as a record identifiers. For example, if I go to line transactions, just click on line transaction descriptive Flexfield, you can edit, go to context. Here you can select whatever the context you want. You can add one here, or just I select, or I already set up my context before as external invoice. In my external invoices, this is my line descriptive Flexfield. I defined around 9 attributes. If you see here, I defined the unified number. This is line attribute 1, customer number attribute 2, 3, 4 until attribute 8. For each F1, if you can click here and click edit, you can define what is the Flexfield name. This is our interface lines. What is the name? Could well be the same. What is the API name? This is for you. Is it enabled or not? What is the table column? This is interface line attribute 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah. What is the value set? You can define a value set for a unified number and you can put it here as a value set. What is the prompt for the users will be? What is the type of this display? Is it text box? Is it text area? Is it a list of value? Blah blah blah. So you can create a value set as a list of value, and you can put a lot of values and let the users, during make AutoInvoice import, he can open the list of value and select the specific value. What is the display size, high, blah blah blah. Here you can also view value set if you have, or you can create value set from here or from the other form. For the create, if you don't have any value set here, you can create your value set and put it here and select the type. As I told you, if you select list of values, you have to go to put value set values in this value set or in your value set. So the common is line transaction and RA underscore interface lines. Save and close. The other one is customer number. This is up to you. You can define 2 attributes, 3 attributes, 10 attributes, 14, 15, whatever numbers of the attributes, and also the name and the prompt, all of this, and the size and the type of the value sets. This is depends on your organization requirement or business user requirement. In my business case, I defined all of these because my users want like this data: customer number, name, transaction number, activity code, TRN as a tax registration number, emirate, and the description. For the second one, as a customer number, I just click the edit. It's the same line transactions, RA interface lines. What is the name? What is the API? Is it enabled or not? What is the table column? This is attribute 2 because the previous one is line attribute line 1. What is the value set? I put it customer number. All of this is a text box. What is the prompt? Customer number. Also the size 20. There is no difference, the same, just the name and prompt for the users, and the value set, this is customer number, I named it is customer number. Cancel, and so on. If I go to the third one, customer name, the same. If I click update, it will be the same line transaction, RA interface lines, customer name, enabled. This is attribute 3. This is the value set customer name, also text box 2020 and prompt customer name. And this is enabled or not enabled. Cancel. And so on. You can put transaction number, activity code, person, employee, blah blah blah. If I need to add, you just add. You will find our line transactions, RA interface lines, the same. This context code for external invoices. What is your name, code, API name? If you have description, you can put it here. What is the data type? This is character, number, date, blah blah blah. What is the table column? Attribute 1, 2, 3. What is the value set? You can come here and create value set and put it here. What is the default type? Is it, you can keep it as null. What is the prompt, data type, size, and so on. This is how to create a descriptive flex field as a segment in the your flex field name. So this is mandatory to unique each record in the interface table, and therefore can be used as a record identifiers. Just cancel. Let's come back to our slide. So what I did, I just came here, search by line transactions, Flexfield, descriptive Flexfields, and select my context. You can create your context and come here to put it your attributes. This is mandatory. If I come back to my AutoInvoice setup steps, what is the third or steps? Manage transaction type. As you know, manage transaction types during importing the AutoInvoice transactions or the data you upload into the interface tables will be associated to a particular transaction type. Create an invoice transaction type which will be used when we upload data into the interface table. Again, come here, setup and maintenance. Just write transaction type, manage transaction type for customer billing, and click manage transaction type. You can search or put the name. We have a lot of transaction type. If I select, for example, this invoice, edit, for any transaction type you defined as a custom for your organizations, you have to put specific values, right? Like, this is a common set, or for a specific legal entity, this is common set, so it will be using for all of the legal entity. Or if you can put a specific legal entity here. What is the name? What is the description? What is the class? Is it debit memo, credit memo, invoice? What is the transaction status? Is it open, pending, void? Start from date. What is the positive creation sign? Is it positive, so it means invoice? Is it negative, so it may be credit memo? What is the credit memo type? What is the generate bill, yes or no? Payment term as a default will be immediate. Is it open, post to GL or no? Yes. Then you can create a reference account. Reference account, if you're using auto accounting to generate the accounting, you have to put the accounting as a reference accounting for each business unit you have. So in auto accounting, we will come it soon to check what is the auto accounting. You can put the specific values for each segment, that this segment value will be, the system will bring it from transaction type, will be using as a constant, will be using as a SQL, blah blah blah. So this is a transaction type. The same type you can define a credit memo, as if you need to also import or auto invoice or upload credit memo, because you have two types during upload the auto invoice, either debit memo, credit memo, invoice. So in case of you in your organization you are using all of these types, three types, you have to define for each type a transaction type. Because of that, during fill the FBDI template or auto invoice template, you will put a transaction type as a mandatory. This is the transaction type. What is the next step here? Manage auto accounting rules. As I told you, this is also mandatory. Auto accounting rules enables you to create default accounts for revenue, receivable, freight, tax, unearned revenue, unbilled receivables, late charges, bills, receivables accounts, and auto invoice clearing. Auto invoice clearing means suspense accounts. So let's show you in the Oracle. Just done. Click here, auto accounting, manage auto accounting rules. You can select a specific business unit. For example, I will use TD. Just search. As you see here, as I told you, what is accounting type for my business unit? There are auto invoice clearing, bill receivables, deferred tax, freight, receivables, revenue, tax, unbilled, unearned, blah blah blah. For each of account type, you can go to here. For example, my receivables, I told the system to bring all of the value source of my segments from transaction type. So in the previous setup, during define the transaction type, you have to put the reference accounts for each of these segments. What is the receivable account? You will put it there. What is the revenue? Here from the standard line. I put it here from standard line means from the memo line. So I defined memo line. I put specific segments for revenue account in the memo lines, so the system during make a generate accounting, it will bring all of the segment value from the source of standard memo line definition, and so on. What is the tax? From taxes. What is unbilled? From transaction type, unearned transaction type, and so on. So this is also mandatory, because once you upload AutoInvoice, then you can complete the transaction and then generate accounting. Once you generate accounting, the system from which source will bring the values of the segments, either receivable, revenue, tax, blah blah blah. So what is the next step here? Manage auto invoice line ordering. This is also maybe optional, mandatory. This is up to you. If you want the data in your interface table to be created in a particular sort or order, define line ordering rules. Define line ordering rules. Let's navigate to the manage auto invoice line ordering rule. Just click here as a cancel, manage auto invoice line ordering, manage auto invoice line ordering rules. Here, as you see here, the interface as a sequence one, you can select the name, the descriptions. You can also create whatever you want. You can search also. These all auto invoice line ordering rules. So I didn't define any line ordering rules, but here you can click at new one and put your name and descriptions from which date to which date, and put your line transaction attribute 1, 2, 3, 4, add whatever you order on your fields. You can define your line transaction flex field. You have also the option to sorting an attribute in ascending or descending. Also, for your information, the interface line attribute columns are character as a varchar2 data types. So if you are looking for sequential numbering for transaction lines using this functionality, a workaround would be to populate attribute columns as, for example, 0001, 0002, 0003, etc. for character based ordering. Let's come back to the slides. What's next here? Manage auto invoice grouping rule. Grouping rule specify attributes that must identical for lines to be created as one transaction. Grouping rule always includes the mandatory attributes, and to this is added optional attributes that you define in your grouping rule. So the grouping rule specifies just attributes that must be identical for lines to be created as one transactions. Also, you can just click cancel. You can auto invoice grouping rule. Manage auto invoice grouping rules. You can search or put the name if you define a name. What is the default, the global, intercompany? You can add whatever you want. I just using as the default grouping rule, and this is also not mandatory. For the grouping rule, I put transaction class is invoice. You have invoice, credit memo, debit memo, and the invoice optional group by interface line attribute 1. You can also put interface line attribute 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is also not mandatory, but it's just for grouping rule specify attributes that must be identical for lines to be created as invoice. What's the next step here? Manage receivable payment term. During make auto invoice, you will put or fill one field as a payment term. As you see before, that manage payment term, you can put it into the transaction type, and you can put the same name in the template, auto invoice template, or you can just manage payment term and define your payment term. Just click here for the customer payments, manage payment systems. You can search by name, or I just immediate. Or the code I can put let me done and just click it again. Manage payment. Oh, manage payment terms. Sorry, manage payment term. Manage payment term here. There are a lot of payment terms. For example, I am using immediate. This immediate is what is the name, what is the description, what is the from date to date, what is the due, is it 100, or for example you can put here 30% 70, so the 30 will be immediate, and another line 70 will be after 30 days, after 2 months, blah blah blah. If you have any discount, you can put it here, and this is also mandatory to define your payment term. Cancel. What is next here? Manage transaction sources. Manage transaction sources. There are two transaction sources, as you know, import and manual. Transaction source define default information such as transaction type, automatic numbering. There are two types available, manual and imported. Auto invoice required what? Requires a patch of type imported. So this is also mandatory. If you don't have any transaction source as imported, because auto invoice requires a patch of type imported, you have to define transaction type source. Just again come back here, done, manage transaction source, manage transaction sources. If you have name, you can search by name, else I can click search. I define one imported source. In the imported source also you can define, you can put the name. If I click edit, what is the transaction source set? Are you going to assign this to a specific legal entity, or will be a common? What is the name? What is the description? What is the type? The type here, from the beginning, when you define a transaction source, it will give you two options, manual and imported. You have to select imported. From date to date, is it active or not? Because sometimes you can deactivate and create a new one. Here, what is the transaction number? It will be automatic or manually. I just click automatic and put the last transaction number, so the system will take from 2, 3, 4, blah blah blah. Are you going to assign standard transaction type, credit transaction type, blah blah blah? Are you going to allow duplicate transaction numbers, yes or no? You can also check to copy transaction information Flexfield to a credit memo, yes or no? Control transaction completion. all of these as optionals, you can take it or not. What is the invalid invoice? For the invalid line, the system will create invoice or reject invoice. I put reject invoice. Accounting date in a closing period. If I put accounting date in a closed period, what the system will do? Adjust or reject? I just tell him reject to put either to open the accounting period or to put the accounting period in an open period. What is the grouping rule? As I told you, you can define here or not. Allow sales credit also is or not. For this sales credit and the customers and all of these values here, it's default. Really, I don't know what is each one is specific for what, but I keep it as a default. So again, what is the accounting number, what is the invalid number, rejected or not, and keep of start date to be careful of this date, because maybe I put it 1/2/23, so the users are going to create, for example, Autoinvoice as an opening balance in 2020, so it will be fail because the start date here after the invoicing date in the Autoinvoice template. This is what the transaction source. So let's come back to our slides. Manage receipts class and methods. The default payment method to the transaction you interface via Autoinvoice. You need to define receipt class and methods for your transaction to use. I think also this is as default payment method to the receivables. You can create a receipt class and methods, but during fill or during enter the data of Autoinvoice template, I think there is no fields for receipt class and methods in the template, and I think this is also optional for you to define a receipt class and create receipt methods and assign the bank to the receipt method. To show you it quickly also, just done in the setup and maintenance, just receipt class is not right, receipt class, receipt class and methods. You can define a class. I will search for example, I put it for, this is sheiks, just edit. What is the sheiks? What is the creation method? Do you have remittance or not? Clearance method by matching or no remittance or no clearing, sorry, no matching. So under this receipt method, what is this is the receipt class. What is the receipt method under this receipt class? You can define whatever you want, and under each receipt method you can select this and assign banks, and these assign banks. Here I have a lot of banks. What is the business unit, bank name, blah blah blah. So this will guide you how to make a remittance method. Are you going to make a remittance after creation the receipts or not? No, so you will select no. What's the clearance? As a clear of the receipts as a reconciliation by matching, or no clearing, or directly, blah blah blah. And what is the name under this? What is the receipt method? Under each receipt method, what the bank you assigned. This is quickly as how to define receipt class and receipt method. What is the next step here? Manage receivable customer profile classes. As you know that if necessary, you can define different customer profile classes to categorize your customers. You can associate customer profile classes to customer records you can create later. By using a profile class, you can default certain attribute fields into the customer record to make customer maintenance more efficient. Also, this is for my opinion, it's optional, because maybe in your organization you want to categorize your customers. In my organization, I don't need to make a categorize, so this depends on the business requirement. For example, if I just come setup and maintenance, done, just click here customer profile, manage receivable customer profile classes. Again, I think we didn't define anyone, so here I can select default. For example, I just need to show you the options here. What is the name? What is the status? What about the collector? Do you have credit limit or not? Tolerance also, yes or no. What you order amount limit if you're using sales order. What is the credit currency? What's your currency? What is the credit transactions? Sorry, classifications. What is the payment term? What is the override terms? So you can categorize, means what I can define this as default, and I put credit limit, for example, 100,000, and tolerance 30%, for example. Order limit amount also 1 million, for example, and assign this customer profile to the customers. So again, I can define another profile class name for a default 2 or without discount, for example. So I could put it here, another credit memo, credit limit, and tolerance here will be 0 because I named is without tolerance. Collector, you can default collector, or you can define whatever collector you need. So what is the invoicing? Are you using grouping rule? Blah blah blah. So this is just for categorize the customers. And once you define the customer profile class, during define the customers, you can assign this profile class whatever you defined here in the customer definition level. What is the late charge also? Are you going to enable late charges or not? For the late, all of these options will be enabled for you if I select here to define what is the method, what is the charge reductions, blah blah blah. All of these depends on your business requirement. Just I cancel, done. Come back to my slide. What is the next? Manage transaction type. We already talked about manage transaction types, and as I told you, in the reference account you have to put each value source for each segment because you are using auto accounting. Create a customers. This is mandatory, yes, because during define the auto invoice import template, you will select the customers. For the customers, just go to account receivables. There are 3 types of creating customers. I will not tell you here the full steps for that. Just go to receivables, billing. You will just go to tasks list on the right. There are manual, create customers, upload customer from a spreadsheet. I think I did one video before in my spreadsheet how to create customer from a spreadsheet, and here for the create customers as a manual. For the manage customers, or I will show you quickly how to create customers manual. Just click here, create customers. This is account receivables rule must be assigned to your user to define what is the customer type. Is it organization or person? What is the name? What is the tax buyer identifier? What is the account description? What is the account type? Is it external or internal? Accounting established date, take care of this date, take care of this date, and take care of this date, because depends on this date the transaction will be created. What is the accounting address set? Are you using common or for a specific legal entity? You can put your specific legal entity from date. What is site number? Address line 1 to what is the emirate, because we enable this emirate in United Arab Emirates, so I have to select either Ajman, Dubai, Fujairah, blah blah blah. For the address purpose, you can select bill to, ship to. For standard, you just select bill to and take care of this date, take care of this date, take care of this date. This is quickly how to define the customers, because it's mandatory. Because if you are going to upload transactions or create a manual transaction, this must be assigned to specific customer. So the mandatory site address purpose here is bill to. Later on you can select ship to, you can sold to, blah blah blah. Okay, let's come back to the slides. After customers, manage receivable system options. This is as a common for your AutoInvoice import. For the managed receivable transaction, the setting in system options that impact AutoInvoice are in the transactions and the customers tabs. So it will be also show you how to manage receivables. Just come back here. Also it depends on your business requirement. Just go to setup and maintenance and receivable system option. Receivables system options. Receivable. Here, manage receivable system options. Again, manage receivable system option. You can select a specific business unit or you can select all. Just search. Select my business unit. As you see here, what is billing and revenue and cash processing? What is a business unit? Ledger, currency of your ledger. Application rule set, are you going to prorate or just line first, line and tax, blah blah blah. What is the discount? Only line or invoice amount, line freight, split amount, days in sales outstanding. Are you going to allow in unearned discount, discount on partial amount, business unit to process receipt or not, print remit to address, what is the accounting year for the tax account, unlocated, blah blah blah. What is the item validation? This is for the item master. Transaction invoice printing, total tax only, recap, item, all of these options, a list of values you can define. What is the grouping rule as a default, or whatever you define the new one, you can put it here. Are you create recall customer or not? Maximize memories in byte. This is also by default, so you can bring it from Oracle customer support. What is about the other tab as a cash processing for the receipts? Use auto apply or not, allow payment for unrelated transactions, yes or not. What is the chargeback due date? What about the accounting released gain or loss for the cross currency rounding account? What is the invoice per commit, receipts per commit, and enables bills receivables or not for the futures receivables and so on. This is what the system options you can define at business unit level, and also it will be mandatory because in this case you are going to put as a common system options for your business units, either billing and revenue and cash processing. I think also I did one video before for each of these. What this is mean? What is the meaning of this? Blah blah blah. Let's come back to the slide. After that, what manage receivables accounting period. Accounting period, open or close period in your accounting calendar to control the recording of accounting informations for these periods. Since the objective of AutoInvoice is to create new transactions, so the goal is to have these transactions impact open GL periods. So ensure that the accounting date as a GL date values you provide in the template is within an open period. Just come here, go to receivables, billing I think, or account receivables. Just go to here, I think for billing. Okay, come on, account receivables, go to manage accounting period on the right tasks here, and go to the manage accounting periods. You can select a specific business unit and start to open period. For example, I select this, select whatever the period I need. All of this is period, but February still you can open from here, and you can come here to close. Before close you can check the exceptions and reconciliation and all of this. What is the next step here? Manage remit to addresses. Define a remit to address so that customers know where to send payment for their invoices. For each country, you can specify manage remit to addresses to customers know where to send the payment. Again, here just setup and maintenance. Remit to addresses. As you see here, manage remit to addresses. You can search for the country, my country. If you don't have, you can define it here. Just I can put it here as or I can search this country, then click search. Here for each remit to address set I put, for example this one, I put it site number United. Its site number is come automatically. What is the remit to address? Customer address, country address 123. You can also specify the Emirates. Once you save it, the system automatically will give it site number and so on. This is remit to address to let customers know where they send payment of their invoices. What's the next step here? As manage standard memo line. This is optional. Manage standard memo lines. Use memo lines on your transactions when the item is not an inventory item. For example, you can define a memo line called consulting service, expensing service, blah blah blah, to identify charges for consulting activities. You can assign memo lines to debit memo, on account credits, debit memo reversals, chargeback, invoices, etc. Also, there is a defaulting mechanism for standard memo lines when entering transaction manually in the UI as user interface. Descriptions, unit price, tax code, unit selling, blah blah blah. This defaulting is not available during AutoInvoice. Description and the unit price will not get defaulted because it would significantly slow down the performance of the process. In my case, I will using memo line because I will not using AutoInvoice as an inventory item. So I just quickly show you how to define memo line, settlement and maintenance, standard memo line. It will also ask you to define name, descriptions. What about the tax? Is it calculated, not calculated? If I put it here, for example, this one. What is the name? What is the memo line set? What is the name? What is the description? What is the type? Is it line or not? Free tax, blah blah blah. This is line. What is the transaction type? Are you going to calculate tax, not calculate tax, and so on? You can pass unit list price, unit of measure, from date to date. Also here you can reference account to assign the business unit and put your revenue. Because this is memo line, it will be on the distribution of the AR transactions, so it must be associated to the revenue account. Depends on this tax classification, the systems will calculate VAT or not. So this is how to define memo line, because in my case I will path memo line in the AutoInvoice template. What's the next here? I think it's enough. AutoInvoice upload the data within interface. Now the time of practice. Practice means you have to get the template, fill the template, upload the template, check the output status. Is it wrong? Is it correctly? To import invoices using AutoInvoice import, you have to use the template. This is the name of the template, AutoInvoice import template.xlsm, or you can download last version of this. You just following the navigation this. Oracle documentation, financials, administrator, import data, get started with file-based data import, receivables, AutoInvoice import. So this is the time to upload one invoice. Just come back. I can go to Google. You can write, for example, AutoInvoice import FVDI template. here. Once you click here, you will find our AutoInvoice import template.xlsm. it will be the same. Just click it to download it. It's downloaded. So before I open it, I just go to, for example, one invoice, to just take a copy and paste from this invoice. For example, I can import this one, for example, of TD. So I just open this. I downloaded the template. Just open it, right click, properties, unblock, apply, okay, open the template. Once you open the template, it will open here. The system will give you some values that will be guide for you. Just delete all of these values. Again, and go to the other tabs, and this one, and come here. There are 4 tabs, as you see here. 5, one for the generate CSV file, and this is overview. One, the interface line, what is the invoice distributions, sales, and contingencies for the sales. In my case, I just write or fill the data here for the transaction interface line also. If you don't using auto accounting, you have to also fill the interface distribution also. If you're using auto accounting, like my cases, I will not fill any data here. If you have any sales credit data, you can pass it here. Interface contingencies also pass it here. Once you fill whatever tabs or sheets, just come here and generate CSV file. Let's start by interface line alls. First of all, what is the business unit name? This is mandatory. I just bring it here from, if you know, you can write. If not, take it as copy paste. What is the transaction batch source name? We defined another one or before, that's imported source. So you have to put the same name whatever you defined for only source is imported. Invoice transaction type, are you going to upload the invoice or credit memo? What is the payment term? Immediate. Also I can take it copy paste from here, because if you're missing any character, it will fail with you. Transaction date is year, month, day. Year, month, day. You can also take it copy from here and here. As you know that there are 2 dates, transaction date as a receivable date and accounting date. Transaction number, because I put it automatically, so I will not pass any manual transactions. So what I put, business unit, what is the imported batch or source you already created, transaction type, payment term, transaction date, accounting date. After that, there are 2 very important here for the customer: bill to customer account number, bill to customer site number. Here I can bring it from, if I select this customers, there is one account number is 1, so I will pass it here, bill to customer number 1. But what about the bill to customer site number? Is don't take this, because this is wrong. So what I will do, I just go duplicate this and go to receivables, billing, and search by these customers, and just click here. You can define account number is 1, this is my customer, this one, yes. So the customer site number you have to take it from here, but depends on the address sets. Address sets means which operating unit or business units or legal entity, blah blah blah. This is one. So 24012 24012. This is my customer site number of my address set, okay, for the business unit. This is only for the customer numbers, customer account number, customer site number. Go to the right line. We will start to enter the line. What is the transaction line type? Is it line, tax, freight, blah blah blah? Is it line? What is the transaction line descriptions? Transaction line descriptions, if I am using memo line, so I need to take memo line description. So here, if I say take this is my memo line description. What is the currency? Dirham. What is the currency conversion type? Corporate. Also, if corporate is wrong, it will give you wrong. Cross currency or conversion date, you can pass or not. And currency conversion rate also you can pass or not if you're using a foreign currency. What is the transaction line amount? I will put 1000. What is the quantity? For example, 2. Are you going unit selling price? If 2 quantity, total amount is 1000 for 2 quantity, so the unit selling price here will be 500. So 500 plus 500 or 500 multiply 2 will give you 1000. Else you can keep it null. Go to right. So you will start by enter line transaction Flexfield context. As I told you that I defined a new one before. This is imported or external transactions. For the external transactions, you have to put it here, the name as it is. So if I come here, go to done, setup and maintenance, I just need to bring the name as it is. Manage receivable descriptive Flexfield, receivable descriptive Flexfield, and go to your context to put it as it is. Just search, go to down, select line transaction Flexfield as we defined before, 9 transactions. Also, one very important, I forget to tell you that once you define, you can just come here and make validate Flexfield. Validate means to check that everything is working fine or not. Just go to down, I select my context is external invoice. I take it copy, I put it here. This is my line transaction Flexfield context. You will start by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 8. Because I put it here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have first one, I have to define unified number. So just come here. This is the first one as a unified number. So 05897765. So the next one is customer number. So third one is customer name, Mu Salah 2024 1. Third one is transaction number. This is transaction number at the line level, not the header level. So I will put 001122998877. Fifth is activity code. So this is revenue memo line, for example. Then TRN number 1000, 2000, 3000. What is the 7? Emirate. It will be Ajman or Dubai. Ajman, no problem. What is the last is the description. This Autoinvoice test case, for example. That's it. because I put it here memo line descriptions, where I will put memo line name. You will find here if you have VAT tax classification code or not, because in my case I using a memo line and I define the transaction classification code at memo line, so I don't need to put any classification here. Just search by or control F memo, just memo line name. I have to pass it here. I just also take it from here, copy and paste. So I come back to select 01 as a default one, deleted. So what I did, what is the business unit name? All of these asterisks is required, as you see here. What is the transaction batch source name? Transaction type name, either invoice, credit memo, debit memo. What is the payment term? Counting date and transaction date. What is the invoice? Customer account number, customer site number. Then go to lines. What is the line type? What is the line descriptions? If you're using memo line, so you have to put here memo line descriptions. Currency conversion type, transaction line amount, quantity, unit selling price. What is the Flexfield? What the descriptive Flexfield you defined, you have to put the context name here, then fill the attributes. If you define 1, 2, 3, 4, blah blah blah. I just come here, I can put like this, and the last one is what is the memo line name. Once you define it, finish, yes, come to the first sheet, and this is the memo line name. Here generate your CSV file. It will save where I just put it in my document, for example 7 April 2024. Okay, it has been created. Just log into Oracle from tools. There are two processes you have to run it. First of it, load interface file, then import Autoinvoice. Go to tools, tools, schedule new process. And these tools by employee rules, it must be assigned to your users to give you access to schedule process. First of all, load interface. Interface is wrong. Yes, interface is wrong. Interface file import. Okay, you have to select import Autoinvoice. So go to down, import Autoinvoice. So what is the data files? You already generated one CSV file, you have to select it here, choose, and my document, this one, open. Okay, submit. Once it's succeeded, you have to run the next or the second process. As you see here, load interface file for import is running, transfer file succeeded, load file to interface is running. So succeeded. All of them is succeeded now. So you go ahead with the second one, is just delete import Autoinvoice. Okay, what is the business unit? What is this invoice for which business unit? TD. What is the source? Imported source. As I told you that you defined two transaction source, for example one imported, one manual, you have to select here the imported source. That's it, just submit. Let's us check the default date, it will be working or not, but it will be working. Submit. Okay, close, refresh. Here you have to check the status, because if you have any errors, it will give you here errors, warning, blah blah blah. As I told you, maybe immediate for the payment term name is wrong, maybe the accounting period is closed, maybe business unit name is wrong, you're missing some Flexfield data, customer site number is wrong, customer number is wrong. All of these maybe give you error. So let's check here. AutoInvoice still running here. I think there is one sub-process as execution AutoInvoice to give you the status. This one, AutoInvoice execution report, to give you the status of your invoice. Still running. Succeeded. The other one is succeeded. So you can select the execution, go to down, select the output to check it, download, yes, open. Here successfully and selected, rejected. If you go to down, rev, because there are a lot of invoices before, so all whatever the execution and validation or the data is interface, you will find it here. Anyway, you can just go to your manage invoicing as a billing, receivables, here, billing. You can manage transactions, search by import, or just come here to search by import. Source means imported source. I think it's failed. Just go to import, manage invoice, transactions, business unit, to check is it uploaded or not. Transaction source imported, search. You can also put transaction date here, blah blah blah, transaction date 29/1, right? If I click it here, it succeeded, alhamdulillah. Just click on it. 29, this is imported source. 1000, if you remember, immediate. This is our customers. This is the description. This is the memo line. If you go to details, you will find my external invoices. If you need to double check whatever I passed there, this one, I just download this, go to right, left, first one. Just don't consider this import execution report, you just go to manage transaction, search by it. For example, everything here, 1000 to quantity, to quantity, and 1000. What is the line transactions? If you see here, I bought 589776777, 5897767, 10952, 10952, Musalah 2024 1, مصالحة 20 and so on. Rev memo line, TRN number, emirate, and Autoinvoice test cases, So this is how to upload, how to set up. What is the next slide we have here? So don't consider these executions, maybe don't show, it's just show you the errors. But anyway, to double check, you just go to manage transactions in peeling and check the Autoinvoice. I will also put one link for Autoinvoice import, or I will mention the link which is free to download the Autoinvoice import template. What is the next step here? After you import, you have to testing Autoinvoice import process, you have to review, and whatever we did, retesting and review it. Purging interface table after import. How to delete purge interface data using purge Autoinvoice interface data. For example, this is purging. What does it mean to purge the data of RA underscore interface? This is also optional, you can purge or not, because purge means that whatever the data is there, to automatically purge the Autoinvoice interface tables after running Autoinvoice, check the purge interface tables books in the receivable system options. If you check these books, there is one option to purge interface tables. This in receivable system options. Here manage receivable options, setup and maintenance. Yes. Download, setup and maintenance. And okay, you're gonna check the receivable system options. There is one purging interface, receivables system options, select memo line, that's it, my TD for example, search. So just select the business unit and here you can check the purging for the Autoinvoice, billing and revenue. Go to down for Autoinvoice, purge interface tables or not. If you enable this checkbox, Receivable deletes the records that have been successfully transferred into permanent receivable tables. Don't check this box if you want to submit the Autoinvoice purge program manually after running Autoinvoice. So if I didn't select it here, I just come back to tools and run Autoinvoice import or the purging from tools. Schedule new process and purging interface. Purge Autoinvoice interface data, okay, and you can select the business unit as optional or not, and status also if you have, else you can select submit. This is how to purge. Another thing is how to purge. If you see here, the next one is how to purge record with any status is in Autoinvoice interface. In order to able to purge, again, just from the receivables peeling tasks, there is, you can go to receivables, billing tasks, manage Autoinvoice lines. You can log in with credentials and search for the records which you want to delete. Double click on the single value in the column flags and click it as do or not, or I will show you, it will be better. So I will come back to Oracle, receivables, billing, receivables, billing, go to tasks on the right, manage auto invoice lines. From here just click here, manage auto invoice lines. It will download one file. Again, open, double click, for example properties, remove and block, apply, OK, manage auto invoice, open it, and it will ask you for the username passwords. I forget the username and the password. Let me try. Tax people, it's wrong. Again, it's working. Install or escape. Just go to interface lines and distributions. Once the invoke action processing is finished, go to here, processing, if you have any, because this is business unit is not the same, so anyway, if you have correct business unit here, just click 2D. I hope it's coming or not. TD. Yes, okay. Let's invoke again. If you have any one of here, you just come here and put as double click on the row, and the column flag to select as will be dot here. Once you put dot here, you just come here and in manage just upload. Once you uploaded as a flagged, this will delete all the records which have been marked with a dot in the column flag. If you have a lot of lines here, as I told you, you can select until these flagged like dot, go to manage invoices, upload. What does it mean? It will delete all of the records which have been marked with a dot in the column flag. This is how to purging, either delete or purge interface using Purging AutoInvoice interface data or through system receivable options, or how to purge records with any status in AutoInvoice interface tables. Thanks for watching. I hope now you got setup required of AutoInvoice. Also, you got how to fill the AutoInvoice template for upload invoice, either debit memo, credit memo, blah blah blah. You can try all of these business cases and how to purge the data. Thank you.